That's fine. I'm starting the recording right now.
Man, we'll just talk about that.
So, but with podcasts in general, it's one of those things that is very iffy because if you don't find a subject people like, it just it to a lot of people it's just unenthusiastic. You know what I mean? Like not interesting to most people.
You have to be passionate for it.
Exactly. So it's like when you find people who are willing to just, enjoy it just as much as other people do, like you're chit chatting, talking, having a good time, laughing and stuff like that, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, and most of the time when I do listen to podcasts, it is at nighttime or when I'm literally just playing Minecraft and I need something on in the background. And there's a lot of podcasts that I found that really,
Intrigue you?
yeah, and they're just chill. Like medical podcasts and horror podcasts are the ones that I listen
Oh
to a
yeah,
lot.
my girlfriend is like very heavy. Actually, recently she started watching this show in the background to help her sleep. I don't know how the hell she could sleep to it. It's called A Haunting. And I look at her and I say, "How the hell do you listen to this?" She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "This stuff is horrifying." She goes, "We've been together for 2 years. I love horror movies. I love horror shows. I love horror books. Like she's all into like the scary and the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that kind of weird, like you watch
Vibe.
a you watch a horror movie and then all of a sudden the pile of clothes on your chair starts to really look like a person.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You're
Or the
not
pile of,
paranoid, but you're just cautious.
oh yeah, definitely. And that's a thing that I have noticed with certain people in general when they talk about that is when it comes to horror, not horror, but horror in general as a whole. It's one of those weird, like, don't get me wrong, I'll sit down with her and watch a scary movie once in a while, but you're not gonna sit me and just binge watch like Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. Like that's way too much for me.
Yeah, there was one of uh medical horror where basically there was like a whole bunch of stuff going on and I'm sitting here thinking, this could actually happen. And that's the scary part is when it comes to a lot of medical stuff is it can actually happen.
Oh yeah, especially when you watch like shows like House, for example. I mean, I know that's more than likely really fictional, but
Yeah,
it could
it is very
happen.
much so fictional.
However, you never know. It could happen. I mean, yeah, there could be that doctor who could run around and just say, no, he's got this for an issue, or he's got that for an issue. It's never anything else.
Yeah, and I remember when I was homeschooled a few years back, my mom and I we would watch House, and we're sitting there, and it's just like, who even comes up with these ideas? And my girlfriend, she's a huge Supernatural fan. Um, Eventually, over time, it just became. It seemed like they were running out of ideas. There was one guy who was killed by like a possessed printer. Like, who comes up with that? Like, who sits down at a boardroom table and says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to come up with a possessed printer."
That's definitely something I would question my doctor or therapist about.
And there was one really weird one where this guy who was unconscious in a coma and he wasn't responding on House, and he wasn't responding, and so the doctor decides, you know what, let's give him a migraine, see how his brain reacts.
Right.
It's just like, how would that have any correlation when someone is unconscious in a coma? How would any of that be worthwhile data?
Exactly.
How can you recreate that? And first of all, how would you get that published? That if you make a medical breakthrough like they did, how do you publish that? Do you just go, oh yeah, he was in a coma and I just injected him with this compound that gives him a migraine? But what?
It's just crazy. It's stuff like that that just I find insane, creepy, crazy. So it's like but it's one of those things that are like really real to the point of like what's the wording I'm looking for here? It's
Obscure.
Thank you. It's really obscure, and when you hear and read and watch and listen to what a lot of people are talking about, it's one of those things where you just wish that you didn't really hear at most times.
Some weird freaky deviant stuff.
Yeah. It's just how do you sit there and look at somebody and say, "Hey, did you know that if you inject somebody with this medical compound, they can get a migraine and it can bring them out of a coma?" And they're gonna look at you and say, "How the fuck do you know that?"
Like, what kind of drugs are you smoking? I want some.
Or exactly. But it's also about how people listen to like these podcasts, watch these shows or documentaries, or read these stuffs. That it's one of those things that you just have to like sit back and just listen to because you don't know if it's real. But
Yeah,
however, it's not like we sit here and just talk out of our asses. I mean, we technically are,
yeah.
but
But there's an element of fun to it here in this situation
yeah,
where we're sitting here discussing about whatever. And there's one podcast that my girlfriend and I listen to. It's called Sawbones, and there's a lot of
that already sounds weird in my head.
it actually isn't. There's literally the opening statement of it is, can't you just have fun for a little bit and not worry about that mystery boil? And that's literally the whole point of it, is a distraction.
I mean, I
And
believe it.
go ahead.
No, like I'm saying, I believe it. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things. And there was a podcast I was listening to, watching, and all that for a while. It was called Rooster Teeth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of their podcasts. It's on their gaming channel. It's called Off Topic.
Sounds familiar.
They just bullshit and talk about like real life things and what's happening now, or talk about what's happened to them in the past, and they all correlate around this one thing. And legit, it's entertaining as all hell.
Yeah, sometimes those ones are the best podcasts, where they just there is no set storyline. You just go where it goes. And I'm sitting here thinking that this is literally a podcast about a whole bunch of different podcasts that we're doing.
Exactly. Like that's what this is all about. It's just a podcast about podcasts because we're interested in doing our own podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like but podcasts are all just about, I mean, there's people who are very fluent in like their normal like ratio, like their normal thing of what they want to do. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I even have an issue sometimes. Um it's raining outside my window.
Yeah, the rain's nice. It is very, very calming at times. However, the ultra heavy rain is the kind that I kind of don't like.
Yeah.
Where it like vibrates the house. I don't like that. That's just nerve wracking and not very calming.
No, I like when I'm sitting here, like when I do Arma with you guys, I sit back, relax, and before like I don't know if you can hear that on my mic.
Yeah,
I am getting a new mic here soon.
yeah,
Legit.
and I'm sure some of the stuff's coming through on my end. So I mean, fair is fair.
Yeah, give me a second, real quick.
Take your time, man. I'll be here.
There we go. That should be a lot better. Now, what the fuck happened to my fucking...
Do you drop kick it or something?
My controller? No, I'm hoping not. I'm trying to... These controllers really start to bug me most days. Uh,
What controllers are they?
I'm using the Xbox One controller to play Far Cry 5.
Oh, well, there's your problem.
Well, hold on. In my
You're
defense,
playing Far Cry 5.
no, no, that's not what I meant by that. What I meant by that is I'm having. Well, that's a lovely sound.
Oh, wait, is that being picked up too?
Yeah, that was picked up.
Oh, oops.
Oh no, you're fine. I could always mute the. Yeah, I could always
Yeah,
mute
because we could just have
that.
this as background.
Yeah, legit. Like this is legit a podcast. If things happen in the main foreground, you know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah,
mind me or somebody live streaming on there like a game they're probably chillaxing to while talking because there's some people who just play games and chit chat on these kind of live streams because
yeah.
it's not like they don't want to. It's the fact that it's just natural. Because remember back in the day when people would hop on like the Xbox 360, PS3s, or PCs, of course, they would sit back, relax, and they would just sit back and just play games and chit chat with people over the freaking over the
Over,
mic.
yeah, unless you're playing COD, and then it just became a toxic shithole. But that's
I did no. You haven't seen Toxic Shithole. There was a time that I
bro. Modern Warfare 2 voice chat.
bruh, I hide those from people. Those old video voice chats and shit like that from back in the day. I hide those.
Yeah, a lot of people, if the NSA decided to listen in on
I think a
the
lot of
Modern
people are
Warfare
going
2
to
voice chats, a
just.
lot of people would be on a lot of lists.
It's not even that. It's like one of the things I used to tell people was, my dad is a cop and he can always find where you live. Mind you, I'm fucking 11 years old.
Yeah, one of my favorite ones is my friend is an NSFW artist and he can draw me Nathan.
Bruh, there's a lot of people I told like some weird ass bullshit and they would like believe me.
My dad owns the entirety of Microsoft.
And he can ban your account.
Oh my god.
Like when you and that's funny though because you hear those kind of things on podcasts. You hear like life stories like that on podcasts.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the weirdest stories that events that happened to me was I was playing Roblox in the library after school back in eighth grade,
Right.
and I would play Phantom Forces.
You know
I
what?
I
Wasn't
love
that like an
Phantom
original
Forces.
game too? Also, like, wasn't that just like a normal game as well?
I
Like a game you
mean,
could like find on like the internet. It was like Ghost Recon, like Phantom Forces or something like that. It was like Ghost Recon, like something, and it was a third-person Ghost Recon multiplayer game, and it was actually pretty fun. I actually played it on PC back in the day, but yeah. But anyways, continue what you were saying.
so I would be sitting here in the library playing Phantom Forces and absolutely kicking the other team's ass using the BFG, and I just broke my legs. In Tarkov. Um,
Oh yeah, well, I can believe that part.
and basically, all these kids would start crowding,
You'd
and
get in trouble for it, right?
no, as long as you're quiet, they really didn't care what you did. Is the game audio picking through?
No, I have it muted on my end.
Okay. Um, but one of the main things was a lot of these kids when I'm slamming the enemy team with the BFG 50. One of them goes, "My dad works for Phantom Forces and he can get you banned for cheating." And I'm just like, but bruh.
This is
And
Roblox.
yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking this is literally a platform where you just design your own game and just
I was
have
gonna
fun
say
with
that's
it.
basically
I
Roblox. You make your own game and you just go with it.
Yeah, and there was a problem way back in the day, about 4 years ago, when there was like a whole bunch of cheaters on Roblox. Like, why would you cheat on Roblox? That's what I want to know.
If you have to cheat on Roblox, you legit like you're toxic as fuck. I don't care whoever told you that you're not toxic for doing that. No, you're fucking
Yeah,
toxic.
like who hurt you as a child in order for you to cheat on Roblox?
I question that myself now most days. Like
Yeah,
today, for example, you see a lot of games with hackers. Like you see like what is it now? Battle Royale games, right?
yeah,
Like I can sit there when Warzone first came out, I was actually really excited for it because it was different. Like it was your typical like um BR, but the only difference was is the fact of that instead of um fighting like finding shit on the ground, you would you got to like find shit on the ground, but then you also got to make your own class, and that's what I found unique about it. But then what really pissed me off was it wasn't even the fact that people could use like the shittiest guns in the game, like now, and they could just terminate you because of hacks. And hacking to me is just one of those toxic things. Like I'll play Warzone once in a while with a friend of mine, like crossplay. Like he plays PlayStation, I play Xbox most of the time when I'm not playing on the laptop. When I'm on with you guys on Arma.
yeah,
But that's because I've so used to playing console games. I play console games just to pass the time by, and boom. Um, so it's like I play console games because most of my library is console. So I have more games on my consoles than I do like on my laptop. So, but it just infuriates me because it's like when a game first comes out, you're just trying to have fun, and you're somehow getting no scoped by little Johnny from across the fucking way, and he fucking hits you with a headshot dead on. You straight up go, "What the actual fuck? The hell's wrong with you?" Like I don't even have fun anymore, and that's why I really have stopped playing a lot of certain games, mainly
yeah,
because of that fact that I can't sit down and just have fun anymore. I have to try and kill the sweats before they kill me.
yeah. And then that's when it really comes into play of wh- why why do you cheat? Is it because you feel wronged that you're not good, that you don't want to practice and get better, or are you looking for a get good quick type deal?
Like, bruh, I remember probably everybody who was playing in like those MW2 lobbies, Black Ops 1 lobbies. I swear, I bet no one that I know personally would use hacks because one, they'd have to pay for them. I'm not gonna pay you like $20 a month just to cheat people and fuck Call of Duty. Like that takes no skill, and that, like I said, that infuriates me.
Yeah, I don't see the point of that,
I don't
because
either.
once you get banned, you're out of that money. It's gone.
Exactly.
Thanks for playing.
Hey, I know you just bought like $20 of hacks, but and you just paid like your monthly or yearly subscription to Live, and you just bought this brand new $60 game. However, because we caught you cheating, you know, we're just gonna get rid of you. Like we don't want to
Yeah,
take like and that's what infuriates me with people with spoof accounts because it's like why is that like even allowed?
yeah. There's a big problem with a lot of the Discord, where people would inject cheats, or not cheats, like hacked links, stuff, like really, really, really bad stuff, and Discord would do away with it, and they'll just come back.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those wonderful things you wish that would never happen.
And yet here it is happening, and I don't know how exactly the ban system works. I
The
don't know
ban
whether or
system for a
not.
lot of things.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a hardware ban, IP ban, or something of that nature. I don't know. And frankly, I think it should be a good thing that people don't know, so that way they can't find easier ways to get around it.
No, I totally agree. You can really hear that now, can't you? You can hear that screaming through my door.
I don't care.
Yeah, well, it bothers me a lot. Because I have downstairs neighbors who are assholes and they want to rile up my fucking dogs. Like, I can't sit back, relax, and do something like this without them riling up my dogs. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. And I can't do it if, they rile up my fucking dogs.
Yeah, and speaking of something like that, what kind of pleasure do people get from hurting, like doing something like that? What why do they do it?
I don't know. And it
And
just.
a lot of it's psychological, and that's the problem is the psychological aspect of it isn't really taken and broken down, because I can't really find any research on why do
Most people
people.
just do it just to be assholes. Like, legit. And I find that true.
But obviously there has to be something out of it that you get. Do you get happiness? Does it make you feel superior?
Or are you just trying to be an asshole so that your neighbors could
Yeah,
leave?
yeah.
And legit, they straight up told me in my face. Because where I live, I'm in one of those towns. It's like it's trying not to be scummy. It used to be a very nice place, but then recently, we recently got hit with what do you want to call it without sounding, but with a bed bug wave. It's been going on for at least 15 years now.
Ugh.
So legit, the whole town is infested. No matter, like, you can get rid of them, but they're just gonna keep coming back. That's how bad it is.
That's it. Just burn the town. Burn, nuke it.
Trust
Nope.
me, I'd love to. But what I'm trying to go at with that is that there is people, my neighbors came to me specifically and blamed me for them getting it. No, we don't have them. So how the fuck are you gonna sit there and blame me for something that you have that I have no control over?
What do they do? Pick up a bundle of sheets off the side of the road or something?
No, if you don't know how bed bugs are like contracted is legit. Are you ready for this? Do you question? Do you take a cab to work?
I do not. I
Okay,
drive.
okay. Let me rephrase that. Do you sit on like cloth like based chairs, for example, or just sit
And
down in general at like a public area?
I don't usually like to. If anything, I prefer metal benches because I know that they're a lot easier to be sanitized. Not
Yes,
that I'm really a clean freak, but right now we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic,
right. But
which,
that's what I'm
which
saying.
is another factor.
Right. Well, here's the thing. You can get bed bugs at the fucking movie theater and not know it.
Ugh.
Legit, you get one, you're gonna get multiple. That's how it works. You could work at a pizzeria and not know to get it. You could work at a movie theater. You could work at a fucking clean factory, a fucking shampoo factory. You can work at all these kind of places, but you're still gonna get it, mainly because of the fact that it's just one of those things that you just can't get away from. The only way to get rid of them is if you like treat it. In order to treat the whole building, you gotta bomb the whole fucking building.
Yeah, you got to fumigate it.
You don't even like fumigate. You gotta like get rid of it by doing the one thing that most people know how to do: bomb it.
Yeah.
And that means you have to tell everyone to leave the fucking house. Don't come back for 8 hours. And you let the smoke do its work. Like that's how you do it. Because if one house does it and then another house goes to do it, it's like roaches. Okay?
Yeah, when there's one, there's going to be many more.
Exactly. And they also spread like roaches. If one house
Ugh.
exactly. You're not going to kill them all cuz once they know that you're doing one thing, they're going to try and go to the next like viable area, which is if you live upstairs, it's downstairs. If you live downstairs, it's upstairs. If you live next to somebody, you go next door.
Which funny thing about that statement, humans are the exact same way. We are about as tenacious as the cockroach.
Exactly.
Um,
Do
like
you
you
know
said, if
landlords?
one area becomes unavailable, we'll find the next best thing.
Yep. And that's how that happens. And it infuriates me sometimes when you hear about those kind of things because it's not my fault that, this is happening to you. Like it's not my fault the
What?
landlords want to be assholes.
Yeah.
Or it's not my fault you got bugs. Like they just appear. Anyone can say that it's your fault. But on top of that, I can always say I don't have them. Like where I live, we have a trash detail, okay? You pay $5 for a blue bag and you put all your trash in it. Okay, that's $5 for a large blue bag. Okay?
And is that for everyone in like your unit or whatever?
No. That is legit just for yourself.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. This is where you're getting interesting. However, do you know the normal human being actually within a week, because they come every week, did you know a normal human being will actually contract more than like if let's say you have like a bunch of like large garbage bags, okay, like normal trash bags. Do you know the normal human being contracts more than like maybe the average of 5 garbage in a household of 4?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me tell you this. You pay for these garbage bags, okay?
Okay.
And you want to, like I said, you want to pay the $5 for these. Okay, you want to pay the $5. That's fine. However, you're only going to get that one use from them. And $5 adds up pretty quick if you have to buy like 2 or 3 a fucking week. That's $15 a week where it can go towards something else.
Hmm.
See, I don't know where you're from, so I don't know where exactly how your trash works. You could live in a complex and you could have a dumpster, and there are landlords that pay that fee for that dumpster.
Yeah, we literally just throw it in the bin and then take it to the curb.
Yeah, there's people who do that, but you have to pay for it, and you also have to pay a fee if you're doing that. Where I'm at, you have to pay a fee. If you don't pay a fee, you don't get your garbage taken out. However, there is garbage services that will only ask like $10, $15 to take your trash out, and all they will do is come and pick up as is, like just in bags in a certain area. They'll come and just pick up the trash and then they'll just haul it off to the dump. And those are
Huh.
normal people, not dump trucks, not garbage trucks. They're like normal people with pickup trucks, and they actually make a
Hmm.
living off of that.
I mean, to each, and that's when the saying "to each their own" comes into play. Like, I don't think I would be able to do that, but there's also the saying, "If not us, then who?"
Exactly. People and did you know the garbage man actually only makes under $20 an hour, and you're not guaranteed to go back to that area the next day.
Yeah. What's funny is a lot of the things I heard is that if you don't become successful, if you don't go to college, you'll be like the garbage man, but in reality, the garbage man actually makes more than you do.
Surprisingly.
In some areas, they
Yeah,
can.
if you live in a very high populated town, like I live near a town called Syracuse because I live in New York. Okay,
Well, yeah, that's New York.
exactly. No, I'm just using an example. The average garbage man makes about I think around $25 an hour. Hold on, let me. I'm gonna
But
look this shit up.
but then again, if they're making $25 an hour outside of Syracuse, New York, you also have to factor in that that's a university town, I think.
Yep, it's it's Syracuse University.
Yeah, so
SU,
th-
one of one of the greatest schools in America. It's in the top 2015 schools in America.
yeah, I wanted to go there for aerospace engineering.
It's not worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, college isn't worth it.
All right,
I mean,
garbage
it's
collectors
good.
made a median salary. They make salary.
They're
Okay,
salaried,
they are salaried. I just found this up. The garbage collectors made a median salary of $37,840 in 2019. The best paid 25% made 50,000 that year, while the
but
lowest paid 25% made 28,880 a year. What is the best career fit for me? Now, to me, that sounds fucking fantastic. Because if you're
but
making an average of 37,000, but you also gotta remember, like you said, um, how long have you been there? How well are you doing your job? Like,
also the average cost of living, because if you're in a university town,
trust me, I live in a university town. Legit, it's almost $1,000 for a one-bedroom apartment.
exactly.
And I'm looking for a two-bed for me, my girlfriend, my dog, and my kid.
Yeah, and that's gonna run you a whole heck of a lot more.
Exactly. And people don't realize that, actually. Did you know that? A lot of people don't realize that the housing market isn't crashing. People think, oh, it's crashing because of the pandemic. Do you know why it's crashing?
Well, no, I don't. But on that,
The reason why it's crashing, and I quote, it's because in the beginning of the pandemic, Trump and Biden enforced a law that stated during the pandemic, because a lot of people lost their jobs, if you don't remember. Like a good 75% of America lost their jobs.
oh, it's because that they couldn't pay their rent and now the banks foreclosed on them.
Yep. They could not have banks foreclosed, they couldn't pay rent, they couldn't do all that stuff at the beginning of the month. And like every month because they lost their job. The average American would say, okay, you lost your job, get off your ass and get a new one. You lost your job. Okay, whatever, go get a new one.
Well, nobody's hiring because
No, no, no. That is actually at that point no one was hiring. But now there are so many job opportunities for anybody. There are people who had like a career who could work from home who doesn't want to go to work. I had two jobs at one point, and I quit the second job because I was being too stressed. Okay? People could say, "Oh, you're young. You don't need to worry about stress." You don't know
uh,
me.
see, I hate that whole "you're young, you're fine" thing.
Oh yeah, and that's one of those things that like really pissed me off.
Because a lot of the times, sure, your money, $50,000 way back when would have gotten you a whole hell of a lot more than it does today.
Oh yeah, and that's what infuriates me when people say that. I'm like, okay, do you know the difference between cost of living of 2021 compared to between 1974? The inflation was so high, it's not even funny, and people are gonna blame presidents on everything. Oh, it was Reagan's fault. Oh, it was Barack's fault. Oh, it was this person's fault. Technically, the only people we could blame are corporations. You're gonna blame somebody who has no, they may have like quote unquote final say, but that's because they're going by the Speaker of the House's final decision, which most of the time is usually the VP.
Most of the time.
most of the time. However, if the VP doesn't make that final decision, and it's one like let's say based on Republicans, since we have a Democrat in office, the Republican Party, okay, based on their standards, they would straight up look at you and say, oh, we need to increase this so that these people can do this. However, no one understands when you increase shit, the counter
Doesn't it?
effect.
Yeah, because there's that whole counter effect that really screws you over. Because that whole $15 minimum wage.
Don't get me wrong, I
Well,
find it great. My job right now pays me 16 an hour and I work at Walmart. And that's only because of the fact I live in New York State and we're attacked to New York City. In New York City right now, their income legit is for like to share a bedroom with somebody in New York City and you still have to be responsible for your own bills. You're paying $900 a month average.
yeah, and
That's
it's
just for a
just an
room, not for an
absolute pain.
apartment. Room. Like I've seen people like show like I go on TikTok a lot, and there's a lot of people I follow on TikTok who do stuff like, oh, look and see how much it costs for this bedroom, like just for this bedroom alone. I'm like, okay, how much does it cost? And then when you look at it, it's like 10 times the amount than like you thought it was gonna be. Like, oh, there's one bedroom, like just the room itself. You're guessing it's probably gonna be like around 200-300 bucks a month. That's livable in New York City. No, then the guy looks at you and says $900 for this one room that you will sometimes have to share with somebody. And that's just for a room, and you still have to share like a floor with like a bathroom and all that. Like, yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. I'm not lying when I tell you that's how people live in New York City.
Well, one of my friends was like, "Oh yeah, the minimum wage in New York is like $16 an hour," and I thought, "Holy crap, that's great." Well, that $16 isn't going to go as far as it would normally.
Nope. If minimum wage, I agree with this statement. If people didn't keep fucking with the minimum wage, we wouldn't be having this issue that we're having now when it comes to housing. The housing is based around that minimum wage. If we
Yeah,
didn't have that issue with minimum wage, if we didn't have a bunch of people complaining about minimum wage, we wouldn't be having this issue to begin with. And I agree with that statement because I, for a fact, have lived it. I started working when in New York State the minimum wage was 9.70 an hour. No, 8 something an
oof,
hour. Remind you,
that's impressive.
that was 4 years ago. Now look at it. Inflation has skyrocketed to the point where I don't even feel like I don't feel people are going to be able to live normally. There's people who are moving back in with their parents and they're in their 30s with their kids and stuff because they can't afford the housing market.
Yeah, I mean, my buddy when he lived out there, he was a barista for Starbucks. Um, he 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 was with his parents with a whole bunch of other stuff going on, and I don't understand any of it. Like, why?
What do you not understand? That's my question.
How could you do that when you? I understand that minimum wage has to be increased because it's such a dramatic increase. Like, even at the job I'm still making less than New York's minimum wage.
Yep.
And
However,
when you
you got to think about it this way. When you think of southern states, I've already asked people this, and I actually saw this firsthand. My grandfather lives in a double wide trailer in a small town in North Carolina. Okay, guess how much he's paying a month for that, plus utilities and all that.
$300,
Well, I mean, he rents the trailer, so he's
yeah,
paying
three
more
hundred
than that.
bucks a month plus utility. So that.
You're actually he's paying more than that. He's paying like he's living on that part of North Carolina where it's a little more expensive. He actually
Okay.
lives like an hour or two away from Charleston.
Okay, there it is right there.
He pays around the amount that someone would pay for a one bedroom here. But that's for his own plot of land that he's renting off of somebody. You know what I mean?
That's nuts.
And that's why when you hear a lot of people say, I want to move down south, I want to move to Texas, I want to move to North Carolina, because the inflation comparison to there to New York is actually, true story, it is actually based off of taxes. New York State is in the top 10 ratio for one of the most tax rated states in the US.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the minimum wage by state for 2021. So for Texas, let's pull this up here. Texas is 725, full
Right.
stop. And that's for Texas. But for New York, it is. Hang on.
No, you're fine. You're just going to be as shocked as everyone else is when they look at this statistic about how much taxes New York is. Florida has no taxes. Texas has a little bit of taxes. When people say they want to move to Texas because of the fact they're not paying a shit ton on taxes. That $8 an hour, 40-hour a week paycheck that people make actually goes a long way. So when people say they want to move states out of New York, it's not because they just like the scenery better. It's because of the fact they can actually live. New York State as a whole, their taxes is so bad that it's me, my girlfriend, my kid, my dog. They're my girlfriend's parents' dogs, okay? Her parents and her sister all living under the same roof.
Hmm.
And we pay $900 for a four bed. That's plus utilities.
Hmm.
Which to some people, oh, that's not too bad. But that's in an apartment building.
Yeah, that'd be unheard of here.
Exactly. I'm gonna guess you're from Idaho.
No.
Ohio?
Close. Yeah, we'll just go with that.
Colorado?
I don't want to say.
Damn.
Um.
You're just a southern state, that's all I'll say.
Nope. And anyways,
I'm guessing you live
um.
in California.
Oh God, no.
I'm just taking guesses at this point. I'm just curious.
I do. No. Don't. Mm.
Don't worry about it, but do you see the tax, if you can look at it, do you see the tax, like, statistic for New York State as a whole?
Yeah. Compared. It is absolutely astronomical.
Yeah. When you look at the taxes for New York State, it is actually very, very sad. When you
See,
look at
when it's put into numbers like that, that's when it really starts to hit you that something's going on.
yes, and that's what people in New York have been fighting to stop, or have been trying to stop. Because the last thing I want to do is to hop on to my little train. Excuse me. I want to hop on my little train and I want to go to someplace, but I can't because of that factor.
Hmm.
And most people say, well, just get a better paying job.
But that's not easier said than done, isn't it?
It is easier said than done because I'm not defending people who don't go to college and have a better paying job. No, a lot of people who don't go to college in New York State actually have a better paying job. If you go to college, okay, and you live in New York State, you have a better chance of becoming a barista or a McDonald's employee than actually getting the job that you actually want.
Yep.
Those people say, I'm moving to New York City to follow my dreams. You have a better chance of making it as a fucking barista. That's knowing from a guy who's worked in almost everything. I've worked in factories, I've worked in retail, I've worked in fast food. Do you know why I've worked in all those areas?
To get different experience.
No, because it's easy and they're paying decent. Retail at most places, if you work at like a 7-Eleven, a Circle K, or something like that, you're only getting paid like minimum wage or a little over minimum wage. Okay?
Yeah.
Depending on the company. However, if, like I said, Walmart, they're paying me $16 an hour just to sit up front and cashing people out all day. I mean, it's more to it than that, but that's the gist of it.
But is that New York or
That I think that's just New York.
okay? Because then you
Because
also
the
have to
same
factor in if you're used to
exactly.
making $16 an hour.
However, $16 an hour here, I've learned this off of experience. I was getting paid minimum wage at like $12 an hour, okay, and I was struggling, okay, and because I worked in a different state, I worked in North Carolina for about 3 to 4 months. And that was based off of me living there. All right, I was living there for a little bit, and I wanted a job. I was looking for a job and everything. I almost had a job working at Domino's. You know, like I've worked at all these different places. Okay,
Fair.
and did I like it? No, I didn't like it. Um, However, I found a really nice job. I'm not gonna lie, it paid me comfortably, and it wasn't a whole lot as you would think I was getting paid. I worked as an overnighter at a local Circle K in that town I was living at. I was getting paid $8 an hour. Getting paid working 36 to 38-hour weeks.
And I'm sure you lived a whole hell of a lot more comfortable than you ever did in New
I
York,
was
making
bringing
more money.
home, listen, I was bringing home the same amount as I would in New York State. I was bringing
Yep.
home $300 to $400 a week off of that, whereas I was making $12 an hour. I was bringing home $300 to $400 a week. The same amount of hours.
Yeah, and
And that's saying I was making an even $8 an hour when I was working there.
yeah, and I recently had a conversation where it was pretty much either I stay at 32 hours or I bump myself up to 40 and start having to pay insurance. So it's that, do I get the extra hours? And on paper, I'll get paid more. But in reality,
You're not getting paid more.
no, because more money is going to have to come out in the form of insurance and taxes in order to
What you're
cover the
making.
benefits I'm getting. So in reality, I very may well be making less
A
than if I
lot
just stick at 32 hours.
exactly. But here's how it is in New York State. That's wherever you're at. Okay? New York State, you want a $40 an hour job, a 40-hour paycheck a week. And also, you gotta remember, some jobs don't pay you every 2 weeks. Okay?
Yeah,
And people might say, oh, that's a bigger paycheck. Depending on what you
no,
work. If I wasn't getting child support taking out right now, which is roughly $250 a week every 2 weeks, I'd be bringing home $1,000 every 2 weeks. That's $500 a week. Okay?
okay,
That's based off of what I was making. However, right now I was making minimum wage, okay? At one point, and I was working about 30 something hours a week. You I was making roughly 7 to 800, around between 7 to 800 every 2 weeks.
yeah, and at
And that's
that
even
point, the
and
difference
that's
is
and that was
negligible.
and that was at 11.70 an hour minimum wage. This was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and you had said that you had worked in fast food. I don't think personally, I don't think I could ever do fast food or
Let me tell you what it's
deal
like
with that.
working in fast food. I got called the N word because I was out of chicken.
I'm sorry.
I got called the N word because I was out of chicken.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard you right.
No, no, legit. I got called the N word while we were out. I was working at my local Wendy's, and to remind you, where I live, I have a Wendy's, a Burger King, a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, a Moe's. That's basically like a Chipotle,
Yeah, I
except
know what a
different.
Moe's is.
Okay,
I've got one.
okay. We have like an Applebee's. Like we have all these places in my town. Okay, remind you, it's a college
Yeah,
town.
yeah. So
It's not.
they know their audience.
They know what they want because we mainly cater to the college kids because that's how a lot of businesses in most college towns make their money. Okay, just so you get that background.
Yeah,
And I
I knew of
was.
that.
This is when I first found out my daughter was being born. I was like, okay, I'm stepping up. I'm getting a better paying job. You know, like at this point, I just quit my job at the one place I hated to a living passion because I kept on getting yelled at by a bunch of 16-year-olds. No, 15-year-olds because you can work certain jobs at the age of 15 in New York State and it's not considered child labor.
What?
Yeah, I
Huh?
used people used to work in New York State. It's weird. It's finicky because if you're 15, you can work at like on a farm at the age of 10.
Yeah, here you have to be 14.
Right, but I'm just saying. Like you could be 10 years old and work on a farm. You can be 15 years old and work at a restaurant doing dishes. Like it depends on the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can't. I think it's like it can't be a danger to oneself.
I mean, we also have people who I just recently learned that I have found out that there's people who legitimately work in the restaurant that I was working at before. They were 15 years old. They were working fryers.
That's
That's all I'm saying about that part. Um,
oh okay.
and so there's that. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, legit, all I did was I was closing on a Friday night, so it was pretty freaking hectic, and we're running out of almost everything. Truck came the next day. All right, I was closing, and I looked at my manager. He's like, "Okay, we're almost out of this, this, and this, so we're trying to keep it for like the next day till the truck comes. So just tell everybody we're out of it, okay?" Remind you, I'm saying this now. He was black. Okay, I'm just letting you know. My manager, me and him were really chill. I mean, he got into your face if you're not doing your job right. You know, like a manager would, surprisingly. But you know, he's also there. He was also there as a friend. Like I used to bullshit with him a lot. Like I really liked him. All right, there's a lot
Yeah,
of people like people might say, "Oh, working fast food is like the worst thing in the world." It depends on who you work with. You can work with like with the best people in the world and have a great time, but you can also work with the shittiest people and just hate your fucking job. That's how jobs work.
yeah.
Um, but it's not like I hated Wendy's. I was gonna stay at Wendy's, honestly. Wendy's, I could have been a freaking team shift leader or something like that, you know, shift supervisor or something or some shit like that.
So
And
high up.
yeah, because I was there for at least 6 to 7 months. But my last straw was I got into a fight with somebody, and I don't want to talk about it. Um, but anyways, actually, I didn't get into a fight. That was a different place. I actually left because I got a better offer, better hours, better pay, better wage. You know that's why I left.
Yeah,
Um, all right, but anyways, um, so he told me that. I said, okay, no big deal. Remind you, we have these headset on, and they whoever has the headset on can hear whatever's being said around the. Like you know how we talk in TeamSpeak and Arma,
yeah. It's like TFAR. It's range.
except yes, you can step outside and still talk to people. You know, like we'd all have smoke breaks and shit like that.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Exactly. Well, one guy comes up. I'm running. Someone. The sandwich guy was cleaning up dishes. The fryer was out on a smoke break. It was 9 o'clock at night. It was almost closing. This is like peak COVID, by the way.
Okay, so
Just
you really don't want to be there.
I really don't want to be there. Mainly because of the fact that I was dealing with a lot of assholes, and it was the end of college season.
Oh,
Okay, so this is like around May or June. Okay, this is the end of college season. Oh, I have more Wendy stories to tell you if you want to hear them. Like, it's interesting. um, and what happened is this guy goes, "Yes, can I have 3 chicken classic sandwiches?" I said, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm completely out of chicken." He goes, "All right, that's okay. Can I have a 10 piece spicy nuggets?" "I'm
but you're
sorry,
out of
sir,
chicken.
but sorry, sir, I'm all out of chicken." This guy proceeded to look at me, not look at me, over the intercom, say, "You goddamn," and said that word so loud my manager got on the mic and he said to shut up, pull up front. He got into the window and he ripped this guy new to the point where he ripped off his headset and was about to jump out the fucking window because he called me
Oh,
an N-word. Remind you, I'm white.
yeah.
So, in New York, we don't take kindly to that word, okay? Just mainly because we believe that people, me personally, I mean, we have people where I'm at who believe that that word is, you know, they got called that for a reason. You know, we got the red. New York is still full of rednecks, just saying, who use that word a lot. But also, you gotta remember that
As
we,
with every place.
yeah. So, and there's actually freaking 13-year-olds who use that word too.
It's the same thing here, and it's made funny is the fact that they're lily white.
Yeah. But anyways, like me personally, I don't like that word. It just
It's off-putting to me.
it is. It makes me feel uncomfortable, not because of what it means, but because of the fact that was used in a time where people were getting beat. I
Yeah,
don't I don't
the
like that.
history of it is
The history
horrible.
of the word was just terrible. Even though if you look it up in the dictionary, it means ignorant person, yada yada. I don't care what it means. I personally don't
Yeah,
like it. But anyways, he got up, he looked at me, and he's like, "I'm sorry about that." I said, "Nah, I was on my phone the whole time while you were doing it." And all I did was laugh because I said, "You guys were about to get your ass beat." Because when you think of Wendy's, like, what do you think the managers kind of look like? Big and clunky, right?
yeah.
Nah, this guy looks like he came out the fucking gym.
Ooh,
He would, like, bench, like, fat kids on a daily basis. Like, this is how big he was. His name, I don't want to say his name. His name was started with a D, so I'm just gonna call him Drew. Okay, this guy legit. He had that like fat man gut. He loved to eat, but he looked like he benched like 2 fat kids on a daily basis while they're mounting down on a Big Mac on a Tuesday night. I shit
going
you
ham.
not. Exactly. He was benching them like that's how strong this guy looked. Okay? But like I
That
said,
is terrifying.
it is terrifying. Like I, Jesus fuck. What's the better way? Do you watch anime?
Yes.
Have you ever watched Full Metal Alchemist?
Uh my girlfriend's my girlfriend and I are making our way through it.
All right, do you at least know the teacher of Ed and Alphonse?
Sure. We'll go with that. Sure, why not?
Okay. You know Alex Louise Armstrong?
Yes.
Think that, but with a belly.
Oh.
Like, I said this guy looked jack. He didn't, and he was from Philly, mind you. So, he
That alone
the,
is terrifying.
remind you, he was my supervisor. Like I said, I had issues with him sometimes. I got bitched at about dumb shit. I bitched at him about dumb shit. Not really.
But that's normal. That's everywhere.
That's every job. But that's who my supervisor was. Now the guy who I literally told him to fuck off was supervisor in training, who then got denied the supervisor position. Okay, looked like a fucking twig. He was also from Philly.
Oh boy.
But let me tell you, when I said this guy thought he was tough shit, Evans, I tell you what, this guy legit looked at me and said some weird slang at me, like bossing me around, and he's like, "You gotta be faster with those burgers. You gotta be faster with those burgers," and all this stuff. And I looked at him and said, "Bruh, you were gone for 3 fucking weeks. I've been doing this by myself for 4 months. Shut the fuck up." Uh,
Wow.
like, and I'm usually a very friendly person. A lot of people I know in person will tell you I'm a very friendly person. It takes a lot to piss me off.
Yeah.
And that's not because of the fact like, oh, I'm a snowflake. Nah. I had my share of fair fights in high school. I just learned the whole YOLO. You only live once. Why do you want to spend your whole life fighting? Granted, as we are in an Arma sim fighting a bunch of different factions, and we like to shoot them at the whole time. Just saying.
That's besides the point.
Exactly, that's besides the point. But that's legit an instant of one of the reasons I loved but hated working fast food. That's just retail in general as well. You will get slandered on so bad that people will look at you and tell you how to do your job, and you will just look at them and say, "Do you want to jump behind this counter? Do you want to do this, this, and this? Do you want to ring people out? No? So shut the fuck up and let me do my job." However, we're not allowed to say that because of the fact, what's the always rule in retail? Customer's always right.
Which and tying into that, it's kind of stupid how that saying is kind of been misused throughout all
Oh
of
yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sure you've seen the videos of like the Karen freaking out, like the
Bruh, I
customer's
was
always
laughing
right.
at the legit. I saw a video about a woman who got her ass beat because she didn't have her chicken nuggets. Okay, there's that video. I'm also the one in the background screaming, "Kick her ass, kick her ass." I'm not telling the fucking lady who's beating on the McDonald's employee to kick her ass. I'm telling the McDonald's employee to kick on her ass because those kind of people deserve an ass whooping or a nice shout fest.
Yeah, and personally, on Reddit, it's chock full um, of these fighting videos of like fast food employees finally snapping, and it's some of the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just wonderful.
They finally snap, and everybody's wondering what's going on.
What happened? What started it? And then you realize what really happened, and then it's like, oh, she fucking deserved
Fair
it.
enough. Fair enough. I work around truckers a lot. I'm a scale master.
Oh, you must love your job.
Actually, I do. I really do love my job. I don't feel like it's a job because there's a lot of really good people in it. But there's also there's also the ones where the flatbed drivers are basically one of the rules at the place that I work at. There's cameras, and those cameras take a picture of every single load coming out of that site.
Right.
Well, if somebody's paperwork says that it has to be tarped, well, it has to be tarped.
Right.
And so a lot of the truckers would start getting shitty with me, just like, excuse me, the customer doesn't want it tarped. Well, until the customer calls the supervisor, you got to tarp it. And a lot of times they go back and they just get pissed.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to have to take all the straps and chains off and then retarp it and then put them all on again. I wouldn't want to do that either.
Oh, I wouldn't like to either. But rules are rules. There's reasons why they're in place.
Yeah, and it literally says, and it's highlighted, load must be tarped. And there was one incident where there was another truck coming off the scales, or coming onto the scales, and this guy's just like, well, his load's not tarped. Aren't you gonna make him tarp it? It's like, no, his paperwork doesn't say it has to be tarped. Yours does. I don't know why they do it. They just do it. Um, and like you said, a lot of times they will get shitty over something stupid.
Actually, just you remember you saying that reminded me of a time I ID'd somebody for alcohol, and I said I gotta ID anybody who needs alcohol and tobacco. Okay, that's how my motto was. You smoke,
Yeah,
you drink, you get one or the other, you're getting fucking ID'd. I don't care. I don't care
I
if
don't
you're
care if
fucking
you look
50,
like
60 years
you were
old.
alive when Jesus was walking.
Exactly.
You're getting ID'd.
Well, there was this guy, and it was a black man. I hate to say it, but I had a lot of bad issues with black people.
Yeah,
But I don't.
just as long as your view of them isn't
No, no.
distorted by that,
It's just
then there's no
somehow
problem.
my screaming matches, my issues have always been with black people or rednecks. It's just been wonderful.
See, I can understand the red.
Like
I
I
can
have no
understand that.
personal issues with blacks. I have no issues with African Americans. I don't. I don't have any issues with Asians. I mean, look at it. I mean, look at what we talk about in our 2ID group, and it's all joking. And I literally look at someone like Jody, and I straight up say, "Yo, you're fine. I don't hate you. If you think I hate you, I love you." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But then again, I don't know if that's just his character or something. But you get what I'm saying?
yeah.
But then but 9 times out of 10, I don't have an issue with people. It's usually they have an issue with me, and I don't know why. Is it just, do I have that funny face?
Do I just give off the wrong vibe?
Bruh. Legit. Nah, 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 nah. You want to hear about, like, Karens? Do you want to hear about a Karen I ran into? Bruh, I tell you what, this will probably be the dumbest story but funniest thing you'll ever hear about.
Oh, I've got a trucker Karen story for you then.
Alright, well, of course, we don't call men Karens, we call them Kyles or whatever, the whole joke around that.
No, it's Kyle's are the monster drinkers. God,
Okay.
what's the male version of a Karen?
But you get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, um Stevens.
I think so.
I think it's a Steven.
Okay, but anyways,
Yeah, because Chad is like this your stereotypical football jock guy, so it's not a Chad.
exactly. Okay, but anyways, there is this big older man who comes into the store, okay? He's buying like single ply rolled toilet paper.
I mean, to each his own. It's like sandpaper, and I'd be better off wiping my ass with 80 grit or even the 60 grit. But
I think they
whatever.
use this toilet paper as like substitute sandpaper some days, but that's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
But okay, anyways, so I'm talking to a colleague about something. She asked me a question. It was actually very important. It was about money. It was her first day by herself, not being trained. She forgot about a little bit of info. So I was helping her out. I accidentally scanned the man's TP in an additional time. He only bought 2. I actually rung him up for 3. This guy ripped me an ass wider than the Grand Canyon about it. I looked at him and said, "Sir, I can just take a." No, 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 no. You need to learn to pay the fuck attention and do your fucking job right. I looked at him and I said, "Sir, I can just take it off. It's not the end of the fucking world." No, that is legit what I told him. And this woman I was helping was laughing because I went off on him. My manager found out and she just started laughing. And she goes, "Okay, you're fine." I said, "I'm not getting rid up." She goes, "No." But this guy ripped me a whole new one based on the fact that I actually rung him up for an additional roll of TP.
Bruh.
Bruh, I look at people nowadays when I accidentally when they ring up something twice. Like for example, I work at Walmart, so I work at some of the self checkouts. So
Okay.
alright, so of course you got people who always freaking double scan dumb shit all the time. I accidentally scanned the fruit roll ups twice and only wanted one. I look at him now, do you just want to go back and grab the extra one? That saves me the hassle. And
Yeah.
instead, they like start laughing and they say, "Nah, I really just want the one." I said, "But the kids would love you." They go, "I'm going with the one." I said, "Okay, okay." But you see, that's the customers you can get away with it. But those people were just I have so many Karen stories. It's not even fucking funny. But anyways, all right.
Yeah,
Tell me
I've
this.
got one.
Yeah. I gotta hear this now.
So I was at work. This was one of my first weeks working, so I was still relatively new. I was still a gate attendant. I'm a security guard, but I'm just a glorified gate attendant when I'm working when I'm working the gates.
Yeah. I know how it works.
Yeah, and so this lady, she's got the live, laugh, love on the back of her cab. She's got the studded sunglasses, the haircut,
Oh,
and the cross, and like
you're talking about one of those.
yeah, and
I
this
know
is
what
like
you're
a
talking about.
full like this. I hate stereotyping, but this like fit the match perfectly. Like the giant purse, everything.
Oh,
Like that connotation, like the
yeah.
chewing gum.
I
Like,
know you're talking about. Yeah.
oh, I hate them. Um, I'm just like, hey, are you here for pickup or delivery? Because if you're here to pick up a load, you have to go onto the scales. Well, yeah, I'm here for pickup. Can't you just let me through? And I'm just like, no, you have to go onto the scales. If you're doing a delivery, then I need to know where you're going. And she's just like, well, I'm here to do a pickup. I'm supposed to pick up like 13 tons of steel. And they're like 60 footers. And I'm just like, but you have a Conestoga, which is a pretty much tarped, it's like a box truck, but
Yeah.
it's a flatbed. So it shifts and moves. They're really cool.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, do you have your oversized paperwork? No. I An oversized load is anything more than 5 feet
Yeah.
off the trailer,
I
I
know what you're
think.
saying.
And she's just like, well, then I'll just shift it forward. No, if you shift it forward too much, you can't turn your cab. It's simple physics.
Right.
And she's sitting there, and this is right at shift change too. So a lot of people are coming out and a lot of people coming in.
Oh,
So
so
eventually, I just start routing people through the outbound because I'm dealing with her and I'm just starting waving them through the outbound.
right now she's asking you why can't I go, and you're letting all these people go, and yada yada
Yeah,
yada.
yeah, and I'm just like, ma'am, you don't have your paperwork. I need you to back up. But can't I just turn around and go up the scales and then go out that way? And I was like, no, because those are inbound scales. You have to go through the outbound scales, and I can't let you on the property. And you don't even have a badge.
Right.
She didn't take, and she's just like, well, how do I get a badge then? And I'm just like, I need you to back up and go to that little station there, go back, turn right on the main road, then come back through. And she's just like, well, it'd make a lot more sense to just turn around. And she's going back and forth. She doesn't want to back up. And I understand backing up a semi is incredibly difficult and it takes someone really skilled to do it. But I'm just like, the lane's clear. You can back up. And she's just like, all right, fine, let me talk to your supervisor. So I call Leadman out here. I ring him up. And he's just like, fine. So I can tell he's dealt with this before.
With this with this
And he's
specific
just
person.
like, oh, you're new. Well, and he goes on the guard shack and he tells me about how to go about this. And apparently this wasn't her first stunt she's pulled. She was pleading ignorance, like, oh, I've never been here. Apparently this was one of her weekly tricks
Oh, wonderful.
to try and throw off the new guard so she'd come at irregular times.
Right.
And it's always during shift change.
So he's used to it, and he just lets her get away with it.
No. He's done. He's done. He's just like, all right, fine, we'll wait here. I'm just like, but what about people doing shift change? And he's just put them through the outbound. We'll go down to one lane. We'll alternate. And this goes on for about 15 minutes. And I'm starting to get agitated because my boss is calling me, asking me why there's a truck. Because she's watching the cams and she's asking me why there's a truck there. And I just put her on the phone with Liedman and have him deal with it.
Right.
She comes down and she doesn't really supersede Liedman, but she still has the authority to kick people off the property because we are security.
Right.
She's just like, okay, get off the property. You're done. Go. Leave. And she starts, this can't be happening. I'm just like, you don't have your paperwork, you don't have your badge, you're sitting here blocking traffic, and you are insisting that you turn around when it is a clear violation. There's a sign that says trucks cannot turn around behind the scales.
Right.
So there is a clear sign that says you cannot do this.
Right.
And I don't understand the nature of people, why they think they're so entitled to do something like that when it is at the cost of literally everyone going to their jobs.
Oh yeah. It's really dumb, and it's really one of those things where I just like, can we just have it like you look at me and damn, and not be an asshole, please. Cause I just
Yeah.
want to get my job done. Like honestly.
Yeah, and of course there's like the awesome truckers who this guy drives a purple truck and he has a black cat named Jason, and he has this little bag that he holds Jason in, and he just pops his little ears out of the bag, and I give him a little head pat and give him a cat treat. Like those are the cool ones, the ones that have like dogs and stuff, and they'll come up to the window with you and they'll pet while the driver's filling out paperwork, and you give them dog treats and give them a cup of water, and they'll go on their way. Like those are the moments that I really look forward to at work, is seeing the truckers with pets.
Yeah, because they're really dope and cool.
Yeah, and I give them a cup of cold water because those trucks get hot,
Oh yeah, they get really hot.
especially with the ones with the engines under the cab. You can't really take all the residual heat out.
Oh
They're
no.
still gonna rise. So those trucks gotta get hot.
Oh, I agree with that. I really agree with that. I feel bad for some of the um guys who come into like, oh, when you work at a overnight convenience store, gas station, you see a lot of cops. Okay, and there's one time I had this tweaker come through. Okay, now mind you, it's the winter time. We were told not to let people stay after a certain time. They can come and chill at the benches at like a certain time between these two times, just not between these two times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And third shift is one of those things. It's like, okay, you can't be here chilling until at least 5 o'clock. My shift was from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. Okay,
Ooh.
yeah, it was great. I didn't have a whole lot to do, but I dealt with so many assholes.
Yeah.
But
I love working
anyways,
closing.
oh yeah, but so that happened, and when I tell you what happened next with this person, he gets up, he comes in, he's like, oh, I want a pizza. Okay, that's fine. It's gonna be 5-10 minutes so I can get these other people, rolling, because there's a whole lot of people. And I told them, he's like, well, can I sit in here and wait? I said, sadly, you can't because it's store policy. After a certain time, you can't sit down. He's like, well, I'm buying food. I said, I understand that. However, when you get the food, you're asked to immediately leave. Well, I mean, not like leave, but you know what I mean? Like, you leave, you can't stay here and eat. You have to, like, go.
Yeah, you can wait outside, right?
You can wait outside, you can chill outside, but you can't be in the store. And if you're outside for a period of time, it's considered loitering, and I have to call the cops. Okay? So this guy's like, fine, 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 fine. Okay? Backpack on, He was outside talking to a dude while waiting for the pizza. He had like a grocery, like a PNC, like food line kind of bag. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, he had like a grocery store bag, plastic
Yeah.
bag. And what happened was this guy was apparently about to do a drug deal.
Huh.
Do you know why I said that he was about to do a drug deal? He got into a fight with the dude outside. He got his pizza, and then they had a little scuffle outside, and the man with the plastic bag hid it behind gas canisters.
Hmm.
Like, you know the grill canisters you'd buy at like a store for
Yeah, the
like your.
propane tanks.
Yeah, yeah. He hid his drugs behind the propane tank station.
Hmm.
And how I knew it was drugs? Because the man came back and got it. So that's how my night went that day. I looked at him and I said, if I see you here again, I'm calling the cops.
Hmm.
He didn't like that. I said that.
I mean, I don't blame him for not liking that.
I don't either, but it's my job.
Yeah, however much it may suck,
Oh,
it is still your job.
you're not the only one. So, but yeah, it's a wonderful job to have if you work in a convenience store. Wonderful, wonderful job. But it's one of those things where I get annoyed at work. Like I don't hate my job now. I don't despise it. I just wish I didn't have to deal with so many fucking idiots.
Me too.
But that's a true statement because when I tell people I don't want to have to deal with idiots, they don't understand what I mean by that. They really don't.
I know what you mean.
I know you know what I mean. The people out there who's watching this probably know what I mean. But there's people who don't know what the fuck I mean. I look at him and said, "You never dealt with an idiot before, have you?" He goes, "Nah, I'm usually the overnight stalker at my local such and such."
But you're not actually interacting with people. You're just stalking.
Exactly. But I look at him. I said, "Okay, let me tell you a little something here." He goes, "What?" I said, and I quote, I told him, "If you ever work in retail, just smile and nod and say yes, ma'am." He looks at me and goes, "Why?" I said, "It will save you in the long run." Three
Yeah.
months go by. He comes back to me. He's like, "Well, I went to day shift. They needed people on day shift, so I went and worked there." So yeah, how'd that go? That advice you gave me helped a lot. I worked with a lot of idiots. So you're fucking welcome. You see,
Yeah.
as clerks, we're not trying to be assholes. To some people, we might seem like we're assholes, but we're not trying to be assholes.
You're not going out of your way to ruin someone's day.
No. However, we are not afraid to look at you and tell you you're fucking done. Get the hell out of my store. You know,
Yeah.
we're not afraid to tell you that. I will
Honestly, I don't blame you.
I will literally look at somebody and tell them straight up, "Bruh, you're dumb as fuck." Like, no, just no. And they go, "What do you mean?" I said, I'll look at them straight up and I'll tell them, "You're being really fucking dumb right now." How am I being dumb? Like, how am I legit being dumb? I'll look at them and tell them, "You want this?" Yes. I said, "Okay." "And you want to pay for this?" Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I just don't.
Do you see how my brain operates?
I do.
When people say you gotta deal with a lot of assholes at work, I said, "You have no fucking clue." Like, when I tell people I legit work with idiots, they laugh at me and say they're probably not that bad. I look at them and said, "Do you to test me on that. They look at me and go, "Yeah, sure. What's the worst that's ever happened to you?" I said, "Well,
Let me get my list.
it's not even a fucking list. It's a fucking book." They go, "Oh." I said, "Yeah. You want to talk about working with idiots? Here's my book." And the sad part is, are you ready for this? Some of the shit that we've been talking about tonight, I've heard on podcasts. Like, and I like it how this all evolved around the topic of podcasts, and it felt great.
Yeah, how literally all of this,
All these stories and shit evolved around podcasts.
and that's what I like a lot is where it is literally just a random collection of stories. You move from one topic to another, and it's just smooth. It doesn't seem forced or scripted.
No, no, I don't. And I actually enjoy that a lot because to me, it feels like I'm not trying too hard. But on top of that, I'm also enjoying myself.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have anything else. Do you wanna call it?
That's legit what I'm doing now.
Oh,
And stopping.